begins by painting a picture of Forest City's initial grand vision, a futuristic metropolis rising from the waters near Singapore. Developers, Country Garden, touted it as a haven for 700,000 residents. Yet, current drone footage, verified by independent media analysis, reveals a starkly different reality. Vast complexes of high-rise residential towers stand eerily empty, a testament to an ambitious project teetering on the brink. This multi-billion-dollar development now serves as a haunting symbol of a much larger financial collapse, rooted deeply in China's distressed real estate market. We investigate the promises made, the structures built, and the silence that now pervades. Forest City, conceptualized in 2006 and officially launched in 2016, was envisioned as a sprawling smart city across four man-made islands in Johor, Malaysia. Developed by the Chinese giant Country Garden, in partnership with local entities, the project aimed to attract wealthy Chinese expatriates and a growing middle class. Original promotional materials, widely broadcast in China and Southeast Asia, showcased lush golf courses, a water park, and duty-free shopping districts. The strategic location, just a short distance from Singapore, was presented as a major draw, promising a luxurious lifestyle at a fraction of Singaporean prices. At the heart of this ambition stood Country Garden Holdings, once China's largest property developer by sales. Founded by Yang Kwok-kyung in 1992, the company built its empire on massive residential projects across China, catering to the country's booming urbanization. By the mid-2010s, Country Garden had become synonymous with scale and speed, rapidly expanding its footprint both domestically and internationally. Forest City was their most audacious international venture, a bold move that reflected the company's confidence and access to vast capital, seemingly limitless at the time. Our drone footage, captured in recent months, reveals wide, meticulously paved roads leading to nowhere, devoid of cars or pedestrians. Commercial districts designed for bustling activity now stand silent, their storefronts vacant, save for a few convenience stores or isolated businesses struggling to survive. This pervasive emptiness challenges the very idea of a functioning city. Reports from local media, including the South China Morning Post, indicate that the actual occupancy rate across Forest City's completed phases hovers around a mere 1.5% to 5% of its capacity, transforming grand boulevards into desolate pathways. Beyond the facades, the interiors of Forest City's luxury apartments tell a similar story of abandonment. Marketing images once showcased opulent living spaces with high-end finishes, ready for discerning buyers. Today, many units remain unsold, gathering dust, or are occupied by a handful of residents amidst hundreds of empty neighbors. Architectural walkthroughs confirm that appliances sit unused, and furniture from show units often remains, covered in sheets, in a tableau of suspended animation. This disquieting scene underscores a profound mismatch between the developer's grand vision and the market's eventual reality. The scale of Forest City's incomplete development is most evident at its abandoned construction sites. Cranes stand idle, skeletal structures pierce the sky, and piles of building materials sit untouched, weathering the elements. These half-finished towers and infrastructure projects represent not just economic loss, but also environmental degradation, with man-made islands left partially developed. This halted progress signals a catastrophic halt to the initial $100 billion investment plan, leaving a tangible scar on the landscape and raising serious questions about the project's viability and environmental impact. To understand Country Garden's predicament, we must first examine the seismic shifts in China's real estate market. For decades, property was a primary engine of economic growth and a key investment for Chinese households. However, concerns over unsustainable debt levels and speculative buying led Beijing to intervene. The Three Red Lines policy, introduced in 2020, significantly tightened borrowing rules for developers. This regulatory crackdown, aimed at deleveraging the sector, inadvertently triggered a liquidity crisis across the industry, beginning with Evergrande and soon engulfing other major players. Country Garden, despite initially being seen as a relatively financially sound developer, was not immune. Financial reports from 2023 indicated the company was facing immense liquidity pressures. Bloomberg analysis highlighted that the developer's total liabilities had ballooned to over $200 billion by mid-2023. This staggering figure, comprising bonds, bank loans, and supplier payables, made it one of the most indebted companies globally. The tightening credit conditions in China meant accessing new capital to service existing debts became increasingly difficult, pushing the company towards an inevitable default. In October 2023, Country Garden officially defaulted on its offshore bond payments, marking a critical turning point. This failure to meet its obligations sent shockwaves through global financial markets, given the company's sheer size and its broad network of international investors. The default underscored the contagion risk within China's property sector, demonstrating that even the seemingly strongest developers could succumb. Moody's Investors Service subsequently downgraded Country Garden's credit ratings, citing heightened default risk and weak liquidity, further eroding investor confidence in the broader Chinese economy. A direct consequence of Country Garden's financial distress and the broader market downturn was a drastic decline in property sales. Verified sales data indicates that in the first half of 2023, Country Garden's sales plummeted by approximately 60% compared to the same period in 2022. This steep drop-off starved the company of crucial cash flow, which is vital for funding ongoing projects and servicing debt. Without new sales, the cycle of debt repayment faltered, exacerbating the liquidity crunch and making recovery an increasingly distant prospect. Forest City's primary sales strategy heavily targeted Chinese mainland buyers, leveraging their desire for overseas property investment and emigration options. Early marketing campaigns were highly successful, drawing thousands of prospective buyers to Malaysia. However, Beijing's imposition of stricter capital controls in 2016, limiting the amount of money individuals could transfer abroad, directly impacted this market. Suddenly, the flow of funds from China, essential for these purchases, significantly slowed, leaving Forest City without its core customer base. This policy shift proved to be a critical blow. While initially welcomed, Forest City soon faced scrutiny and skepticism from Malaysian authorities and local citizens. Concerns grew over the project's environmental impact, the scale of foreign ownership, and the implications for local demographics and job creation. In 2018, then Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad stated that foreigners would not be granted ownership of units in Forest City, a declaration that, while later somewhat softened, undeniably damaged international buyer confidence. This political uncertainty added another layer of complexity to Country Garden's already challenging sales environment. Forest City's marketing heavily emphasized its proximity to Singapore, promising a short commute to a global financial hub. Yet, the reality for residents revealed a different picture. The need to clear Malaysian immigration, cross the second link bridge, and then navigate Singaporean customs meant that a short commute often stretched into hours, particularly during peak times. This logistical hurdle, combined with the project's isolated nature from Johor Bahru's established infrastructure, significantly eroded its appeal as a practical residential choice for those working in Singapore. While Country Garden's debt crisis echoes the earlier collapse of Evergrande, it's crucial to distinguish between them. Evergrande, with reported liabilities exceeding $300 billion, was the first domino to fall, exposing systemic risks. Country Garden, while having smaller reported liabilities around $200 billion, was once considered financially stronger and more strategically important due to its sheer number of projects across China. Its default signals a broader and deeper crisis, impacting a wider segment of the market and investor base, as it was perceived as a bellwether for the sector's health. The scale of unsold property within Forest City and Country Garden's wider portfolio presents a colossal challenge. With thousands of units vacant and more under various stages of construction, the company faces an immense inventory burden. Property research firm CRIC reported that by late 2023, Country Garden had approximately 3,100 projects in China, many struggling with sales. This glut of unsold properties depresses prices, exacerbates cash flow problems, and makes attracting new buyers incredibly difficult, creating a vicious cycle that weighs heavily on the company's balance sheet and future prospects. The financial woes of Country Garden and the stagnation of Forest City have tangible effects on the local Malaysian economy. While initial promises included job creation and economic boosts, the reality has been far more muted. Local businesses that set up shop anticipating a flood of residents now face minimal customers. The local perception has shifted from excitement to concern, with many viewing Forest City as a symbol of unsustainable foreign development rather than a beacon of prosperity. This affects everything from local employment to the long-term viability of supporting infrastructure. The collapse of a developer like Country Garden sends ripples far beyond its immediate projects and investors. Its default on offshore bonds highlights the interconnectedness of global financial markets, impacting institutional investors, pension funds, and even individual bondholders worldwide. Furthermore, the crisis in China's property sector, epitomized by Forest City, raises broader questions about China's economic stability and its future growth model, especially regarding its reliance on real estate. This scenario could lead to a protracted period of deleveraging, with potential spillover effects for global trade and investment. For Forest City, the path forward remains highly uncertain. With Country Garden battling for survival and facing immense debt restructuring challenges, the completion of the remaining phases seems increasingly unlikely. Various scenarios are being discussed by financial analysts, ranging from a potential government bailout, albeit unlikely for an overseas project of this nature, to piecemeal sales of assets or even eventual abandonment. The Malaysian government faces a complex dilemma: how to manage a colossal, partially built foreign-owned ghost city on its shores without incurring further economic or environmental liabilities. Forest City stands as a stark monument to unchecked ambition and the risks inherent in large-scale, cross-border property speculation. It serves as a cautionary tale not just for developers, but also for investors and governments considering similar megaprojects. The confluence of shifting market dynamics, stringent capital controls, political headwinds, and a developer's overwhelming debt created a perfect storm. The once heralded vision of a futuristic city has instead become a sprawling, empty testament to the fragility of economic booms and the enduring consequences of their busts.